Hey guys, how are you? I am Talia Parker, founder of Dope Wives, and I wanted to do a video series for you guys. I wanted to cover some really dope couples who are pursuing their individual passions while honoring their marriage. And so I want to highlight three couples over the next few weeks where they just kind of talk about how they address those challenges in their marriage and how they, remain honorable to the union. So let me know what you guys think, and I hope you enjoy. First up, we have Taylor and Eric James. Fabulous couple. Eric is a consultant at a very respectable firm, and Taylor works as in marketing and communications, and she does very well at her job. And I cannot wait to hear how they talk about how they tackle these challenges of pursuing their goals and passion in their marriage while remaining honorable to their union in God. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy.
How do you guys support each other's goals and ambitions?
I'll take that one. So first, alignment. So we've set goals for our family, our marriage, our household, and ensuring that our individual goals align with those collective goals that we've set for each other and our family. If they align, it inherently becomes a goal of mine, and it makes it really easy for me to support, because I know that whatever you're setting out to do individually, it will collectively help our be a benefit and add value to our household, add value to our family, add value to our marriage. And then second, there are certain goals that we will try to do at the same time. So we recently were both in master's programs, and we decided to pursue those programs at the same time, and it just helped with study habits, setting a time or setting a foundation and boundaries around doing certain things around schoolwork, because we were both doing it. We were both in the same mental space. Balancing work, balancing school, balancing family. So it made it really easy by pursuing those individual goals at the same time.
It didn't help with chores though. And cooking, didn't it?
Okay.
And also I think that just to piggyback off that, the communication piece. So whenever I set to accomplish something, I'll have that conversation with you. Like, am I crazy for doing this? And you do the same. And I think we are very transparent with one another, talking about what we currently have on our plates, and if it is tangible and if it's something that we can truly accomplish together, or if we can't accomplish it. And there have been times where you're like, Taylor, you got a lot going on, so let's hold off on that, and vice versa. So I think having that transparent piece and being honest with one another about what we currently have and not overwhelming ourselves. So cool. All right, millennials aren't very loyal to their 9-to-5s. With that being said, how does that drive ambition work in your marriage? Can we take that?
You're the millennial expert. So.
I'm not a millennial expert, but okay. I think that with millennials, we strive to cause some type of disruption. We want to be in control of our lives and the circumstances. So we don't like to be put in boxes of 9 to 5 like normal corporate life. And so we want the flexibility of working remotely or working with travel and truly being in control of our lives. And so I don't think that we are stepping away from 9 to 5. We just want to transition the idea of work-life balance, and it's taking corporations a little longer to catch up with the millennial mindset. And so that's why a lot of millennials are transitioning to more of an entrepreneurial state of mind or business set. And so I've had my own aspirations of not not necessarily leaving my corporate job, but building upon my skill set and working towards things that I have aspirations for or desires for, things that I truly have an interest in that I may not be fulfilling within my particular corporate position. So I think that we work the 9 to 5, but also people come home and work their 6 to 10s or 6 to 11s. And so that can be challenging because when you come home, you know, you may expect me to have dinner ready. That may not be the case. We may be ordering Uber Eats, which is our friend right now. So, but having that understanding that, you know, we're setting a foundation right now, and there's going to be a lot of hard work right now in this particular state. But in the future, we're setting a foundation now for the future that we can live a comfortable life and that, you know, we can have something for our future children to aspire to have, or we're leaving some type of legacy for them. And so in the first years of our marriage, and even in the first years of whatever aspirations we desire or whatever foundation we're building on, it may take work, it may take sacrifice, but I think that's a part of the conversation and transparency of the couple. So, you like that?
I do.
All right. All right, you can read this one.
So, how do you work through compromise?
You can answer that.
So, first I think when talking compromise is ensuring that you're mentally in a healthy space. So, compromise sometimes, honestly, it can be difficult. But that's the beauty of marriage is I feel like I'm a much more selfless person. And I've become a much more selfless person through the journey of marriage. But coming to a compromising place, I don't think it happens. It maybe shouldn't happen immediately. If we do have a heated disagreement, the compromise piece might not happen immediately. So it may be a few hours later, or sometimes even a few days later, where we'll revisit what the disagreement was, and we both had a chance to level set, we both had a chance to think clearly through it, and we aren't as heated and as passionate to where we aren't listening to each other. And so taking time to think from the other person's perspective, as well as taking time to step back and cool down, and then come back and having an educated, intelligent, adult conversation. And again, it goes back to transparency and being honest. I think really helped us move to the position that we we are now, to where we can compromise on things that we might not disagree about, or we may disagree about.
Definitely. And also, I think you have to choose your battles. There are many situations or, you know, things that you just won't win. And if there's something you're truly passionate about, those are the times that you speak on it. But something you truly don't care about and you're just fighting just because, then I think that's where the compromising piece comes in, where if it's something you honestly don't care about, then, you know, you can find ways to find a level ground or a solution. But if it's something you're truly passionate about, then those are the times that you really speak up and you're an advocate for whatever your decision is. Okay, so some of us were still finding ourselves when we got married and still maybe finding ourselves. How did that affect your marriage, and how did you work through it? If it did not affect your marriage, what are some of the preventative measures?
So yeah, we can just skip the second half of that question because it definitely did. Finding myself when I first got married. So I think I was still living, or had the mindset that I was single and a bachelor. There was a lot of change going on. So we had just moved in together, and I had lived by myself for practically my entire life. So learning to live and share space with somebody and share time with somebody was a huge adjustment. But I think that the two biggest things that changed for me, that I found out was that I could value, or that you value spending time with me, and then also like outward expression of affection. And so I feel like I personally am a very independent, isolated person, and I don't necessarily like, or not like, but I don't have to go out of the house to have an enjoyable time. Like, I can sit here and watch television on the couch all day and
sleep on the couch.
And sleep, and that would be a great time to me. Tayler, on the other hand, we're gonna need to go out and have a picnic, skydiving, little race.
Adventurous.
Yeah. So for her to have an enjoyable experience. So having those competing mindsets, I definitely think that I'm a much more selfless person, because one of the questions that we talked about earlier is compromise, and through dealing with that experience and wanting to spend more time with you because it made you and me happy, I definitely think that I learned a lot about myself. And then second, not a big proponent of PDA. I think it took a lot for me to like just simply walking and holding hands and what, you disagree?
I don't think I'm doing PDA. Holding hands is one thing. I mean, I'm not like trying to like make out in public.
Okay, I digress.
Okay.
So, but nonetheless, I think that I'm definitely a much more selfless person because of the journey that I've been on in marriage with you. So,
for me, I think like you spoke how independent you were. I was very independent as well. I think finances was a big transition for me because I was used to paying my bills and then shopping, and he put a kibosh on that. So, I mean, I still shop, but it is more regulated.
to put it nicely.
Yes. And that was a hard piece for me because I felt like he was trying to control me, and it wasn't necessarily control, but we had goals that we had set, and he was ensuring that we made the sacrifices. As we mentioned, sacrifice is a big piece of the marriage. Making sacrifices now so that you can enjoy them in the future. And it was hard for me because I had the mindset of, as long as my bills are paid, I can do whatever I want. And that just wasn't the mindset. And he is the complete opposite, where he wants to save. Like, if his bills are paid, he will not touch anything else. Like, he said he liked to sleep on the couch. That is not a lie. Or watch TV on the couch. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He doesn't have to buy anything. So for me, that was a hard piece because I love Target. I love swiping my card. People will tell you, like, that's something I find joy in that. And the first years of marriage, or the first year, we were literally bumping heads on that. But finding that compromise, finding that balance, setting our own goals and setting our own rules, where it's like, all right, well, this is your shopping money. You spend it how you want to, but when it's gone, it's gone. And me learning how to budget that shopping money. Was I perfect at it? No. Am I still perfect at it? Absolutely not. There are times I go over and he will correct me. So, but it also just helps with that mindset. It helps us work as a team instead of me working individually. So I think that probably was the biggest piece for me. Not necessarily fighting him over that, because he is not trying to control me, but he is wanting us to work as a team to get to our goals that we aspire to have. So,
I'm recording.
okay. Last question. Anything additional you want to add for the Dope Wives audience to know about marriage? We're 3 years in. What advice can you provide for them on your first 3 years, 3.5 years of marriage?
Well, I'll say don't be afraid of marriage counseling. A lot of times people look at marriage counseling or counseling period as taboo. I feel like, especially in Black culture, so if you can't handle your issues on your own, then how can the thought process is how can somebody else help you to get through those? But I definitely think that we have the perspective that marriage counseling is like preventative maintenance on a car. So we'll go and do random check-ins with our counselor, which now is on a much less and infrequent basis. But we're just making sure that we're still doing the regular maintenance on our marriage to ensure that it's staying healthy. But if you avoid doing your preventative maintenance, then you could have a major breakdown in your vehicle. And that analogy in marriage, obviously you wouldn't want to get to a point in marriage where you're having a huge breakdown. So I really would encourage pre-marriage counseling as well as
good premarital counseling.
Yeah, and as well as look into marriage counseling after you've actually started or after you've tied the knot, because there are a lot of changes that you're going to encounter, and having someone to help you navigate those changes.
For me, I think, it's important to, prior to marriage, to really set expectations. We've been reading this book that has been a blessing to us, just talking about being very strategic on your spouse, the partner that you choose, because you're not necessarily entering marriage for happiness, but you're entering it for holiness. And I think that book has been a blessing to us, because I don't know, in the beginning when we first got married, or even when you first proposed, I necessarily entered it into, I'm doing it to please God. I was doing it because I loved you and because I was happy. But that caused conflict and issues within our first year, because there were many times that I loved you, but we did not get along. So it's understanding the actual union of marriage and really setting that foundation. And every day is not going to be perfect. There are going to be days where you can't stand each other, but understanding what the purpose of marriage is, and and honestly just compromising and working with one another to get to the greater good. Knowing that you have this lifelong partner, and taking your vows very, very seriously. You say for better or for worse, for sickness or for health, and those aren't just words. Like, you have to live by that. Your spouse isn't perfect, you aren't perfect, so you guys are going to fall short in different areas, but really understanding that your vows are very serious and they're very sacred, and really just taking them seriously.
Well, we thank you for your time, and Team James, we're out.
Team James out. Lulu. No, you have to admit my phone is rags. It's been great for a little while.
Oh, really? Okay.